It's interesting because one of the hardest things to judge is what somebody will be like in a role where there's really nobody above them, I guess, except for the board. And, my perception is that boards often get it wrong, not maybe more than 50% of the time. But why are we so bad at picking leaders?
I think for a few reasons. One, I think there's, as we like to say at our firm, hope is not a talent strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the times they'll look at sort of people for the next role and they say, well, yeah, let's give them a shot, right? And maybe they can make the jump and grow into the roles. But I think a few of the traps that companies fall into is that they hire kind of based on central casting, right? Like this person looks like a CEO. They've got presence. I mean, look just like the number of CEOs in the Fortune 500
Right,
that are named John and are probably over 6'2", right? Like
right.
there is a certain degree of central casting. There's a little bit of the, whatever tribe you're part of, like you went to this business school and so did three of your directors, who are looking for the next CEO. So there's a sense, okay, you're part of our tribe. We trust you. Um, I also think that one of the traps that companies are falling into is that they've used this model for the last 2 or 3 decades of focusing on leadership competencies, right? So they'll kind of disaggregate the CEO job and say, okay, you need these 20, 30, 100 competencies, and we're going to score you on each of these and then compare it to our database of 10,000 other leaders. And maybe that worked in the previous era when things were more stable, but with so much uncertainty, with so much disruption, that feels too much like a rear view mirror. And so one of the things we're doing at our firm is focusing much more around this idea of what is the leader's character,
Mm-hmm.
like really understanding their authenticity, these values, the stories behind them. What is their track record? If you say these values are important to, what is the proof that they are committed to them and made those real? So are they self-aware? Are they authentic? Because in some ways, in this environment, there's so much uncertainty. You're picking a CEO for what the world's going to look like in 5 years. You can't game that out. So what you're essentially betting on is a person's character. So how do you get at that? The competencies have become table stakes, right? You have to be a good communicator. You have to have strategic thinking, executive presence, right? But it's the character thing that I think is now the differentiator.